Page 26, Plaisir d'aMour, or however you say it, the joy of love. They're showing you at the top broken chords in 3/4 time. Well, that's kind of nice, but I'd rather not limit it. I mean, a broken chord is anything that's not blocked. Look at the top here. You see the first measure up there is a dotted half note. It's a chord. It's a G chord. All at the same time, that's a blocked chord. And then anything else is broken. And this is just one of the patterns for broken, because there's all kinds of patterns for broken chords. Your imagination can go crazy on that one. But this is one of the patterns, a very common pattern. And in 3/4 time, it comes in handy because if there's 3 notes in the chord and there's 3 beats in the measure, then that just works out very well. And we get this broken chord pattern in this piece. So let's look the piece over. It's 3 lines long with a repeat, so it's actually more like 6 lines long, but you only have 3 lines to learn. That's handy, huh? Treble and bass clef, 1 sharp in the key signature. It's in the key of G major. Make sure you can do the G major scale. I say this bit on the scales at the beginning of every video. I have scale videos out, and I'm referring you to those, to the 1 octave up and down stuff that I talk about. A 3/4 time signature, we kind of have a pickup beat. So we're coming in on beat 3, where the first 2 beats are at the bottom, the last measure, so it's okay. I want to take it one hand at a time, make sure I understand what each hand is doing. On the right hand, you have thumb here and 3rd finger here, so you're in this position. Not going to stay here, but this is where we are to start. 3, 1, 2, 3. Remember, the dotted half notes are the same as 3/4 notes. It's always the same as 3/4 notes. And if you know how much a quarter note gets, it gets 3 of those. So here it gets 3 counts. And then the B is tied. You're going to hold that down for 5 counts and then use 4th finger. We're using repeated notes to change hand positions. We do it all the time. Here, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And then reach down. Now they want a 2, 2-1. You play it with the first number, 2, and while you hold it down, you put the second number, 1, on it, here. So the reason is because we're in this position and we need to be in this position. We got 6 notes to cover with 5 fingers, and this is one of the methods of doing that. So it's good practice. Some people hate finger substitutions and they avoid them if at all possible, and other people, like me, use them a lot. So 1, 2, and do it immediately pretty much. I mean, you can do it any time, but I found it better over time overall if you get in the habit of just doing it immediately, because in some pieces you got to do it very quickly. So if you just get in the habit of that, 1, 2, 3, 3, and then reach up. You end up here. Left hand, well, the broken chords here. G chord, 5/7 chord, D7. Second line, 3rd measure, you get a rest. During the rest, you come down to the C chord. And then scratch up a little bit. Don't forget the F sharp. And then scratch up again. And reach up. Now reach down. And up. And up. Connect all these with the fingers on this, and you can scratch up and stretch out as you need to. Yeah. Just put the hands together here. And when I first put the hands together, I just want to know which fingers are working together. Here, and then here, and here. Now, here. Up here as I play that, and I got to come down here. Remember, I got to do a finger substitute, and I do it before I play that beat. I'm already there. You get the idea? Play it all connected right now. Then go back through the treble spots and get rid of the hesitations. Now this, you really ought to be able to play most of it without looking at the keyboard. You may have to look down when you move the left hand from here to here to this, you might have to look for that. So you want to feel your way around the keyboard. Now keep in mind in the last two measures here, that G in the upper staff is not tied, so you play it again. That curved line, well, that's part of the articulation. So let's talk. I can't talk. No. Let's talk about articulation. Or I'll talk about it, you listen, whatever. For the most part, these are phrases. Here, the slurs above. Lift up. Lift up. And the piece pretty much ends in the next to the last measure. That's it. That's the melody. That's it. So you're lifting up in the right hand between the phrases. The left hand, you connect it all the way through. That's that curved in the last two measures, that curve, that's a slur. They're telling you make sure you connect those notes. Connect those notes. Otherwise, you do what you want. You don't have to connect them. But this whole thing is pretty connected. So even in the first line, they don't give you any slurs or anything. In theory, you do what you want. Play it, but that's out of character for this piece. This is a love song. It's very smooth, very gentle. So in that case, we want to connect them. So connect this left hand all the way through. The only time you don't connect it is for the rest, where you got to lift up and move. Like in the first line, let's take the last three measures. The first line, you're here. I'm lifting up for the right hand, but not the left. See, so it's like taking a breath. Now the dynamics, P for piano is soft. It applies to the melody, which is the upper staff, whatever you think soft is. And you have the hairpin to go up. You're only going to go up to about a moderately soft here. You don't get, this piece does not get loud here. A little louder, and stay there. Now at the end, the last few measures, you get the hairpin to come back down, so you're going to come back down. A little softer, soft. The last note is soft. That's not melody, that's background. And we want to keep the background in the background. So we're here at the beginning. This, very soft. A little louder. And you're staying basically there, and then at the end, the last four bars, you're soft. It should be clear to the listener on the last two measures there, that the first note you played there is melody, and that last note you play is not. There should be a difference. So there should be a noticeable difference there between those G's. It should always be clear to the listener which note is melody and which isn't. As far as speed goes, this is adagio moderato. They keep mixing up the speeds. Moderato's in the middle and adagio's slow. Not real slow. I mean, they're slower than adagio. So you're talking slow in the middle. Or middle slow? I don't know. See, the problem is that dotted half notes are you can't go too slow, or these things just drag. I mean, that's okay if you're singing or you have an instrument that can sustain the sound, then you can get away with that. But in piano, when you play the note, it just starts dying away. So it doesn't work on piano. You can't go that slow, really. But the quarter notes are going to slow it down a little bit. I don't want to go too fast. So it's sort of a balance between the two. I do it by feel, so I'll probably play at a different speed about every time I played it and how much coffee I've had to drink. But you're in that area. Now, in addition to all that, they've added pedal. Now, I would like to adjust the pedal just a little bit, and I'll explain why. You see there in the first line there, the third to the last measure, they push the pedal down. Now, do it the way they're showing. I'll push the pedal down right after I play the notes. And I'll lift it up here. No, I don't care for that. First off, why are we using pedal? If we're not going to understand why we use pedal, don't use it. Don't use it just because the music said to use it. there's got to be a reason why, and you gotta listen very carefully to the effect the pedal has on the sound. We can play this very nicely without it, but it's rather dry. By adding pedal, we're adding the overtones. We're giving it a little color. See, that makes it do something. And that's one of the reasons we use pedal in piano, is the longer held notes, it gives them color. They don't just sit there and die away. However, I would like to do something with these other dotted half notes. They're not as long as the tied note, but still they're long enough. I'd like to give them color too. So I'm going to start pedaling with the first dotted half note. And I'm going to change the pedal. I've talked about changing pedal before. They haven't introduced it to you in the method book. That's why they're not showing it to you. But I'm going to, because I think it's important. And it's easy to do. You simply let the pedal up and put it right back down. That's changing the pedal. It's not a quick jerky motion or nothing, just up and down. Well, I want to do that between each of these dotted half notes. Here, change it here. And it's right after I play the notes. So I can add overtones to all of that. And I think that's so much prettier. Now on the other measures that have quarter notes in them, I generally don't pedal those so much because that would smear the melody. I don't want to smear the melody up. It's like the first measure, the second line here. I don't want to pedal it because that, ugh. So we don't pedal all of it, but I want to pedal where these dotted half notes are. Now on the first line next to the last measure here, I would like to hear the phrasing. That little silence. Well, if I do that, I'm going to lift the pedal up with the right hand. There. Here. So I get a little bit of silence there. So if I want to hear the phrasing, I've got to lift the pedal up. So the first line is this. It's what do you want? If that little silence in the right hand is not important to you, then you can go ahead and just pedal it like they're showing there. Here, that's fine. It's interpreting the music, and everybody will do it a little different. There's no right or wrong answer. How do you feel it? Same thing in the second line when you're here. Here, I would suggest, because the left hand has a rest, you go ahead and lift up with the hands. So there's a little silence there, and then go, now pedal, pedal, don't. I don't want to pedal those two measures in the last line because that just smears that. So we don't pedal those, but then the last four measures, I'll pedal those. And that pedal and the hands come up. That's my suggestion on the pedal. It's all interpretation. How you use the pedal, what dynamics you do, what phrasing and all that, articulation, that's all interpreting the music. It's how you express the music. So you learn it very mechanically first, what's there, and then after you get into it and you start getting into the music, then if you want to alter that stuff just a little bit, go for it. In this kind of music, you can change the dynamics and the articulation, all that, as you feel it. Yeah. You can't do that with all kinds of music, but you can certainly do it with this kind of music. As this kind mean, this is more of a, well, this is a very, very old melody, but it wasn't written for keyboard, is what I'm saying, okay? So have fun with it. It's an arrangement, and as an arrangement, you can rearrange it. Now remember the repeat sign, so you do it twice, okay? Now there's a note at the top, it's right above the staff. Second time, both hands 8 VA. So that means you're going to move both hands up an octave. So when you end it here at the bottom, you're going to go up here. You're going to play it get up here the second time. Well, that's a problem. How do we get up there? You know, we're going to plan these things out because the beat has to be a steady beat. Well, if possible, I like to move the hands one at a time, and we can do that here because the left hand has rests here at the bottom. And while you're doing that, you can go ahead and get the hand up here ready to go. It needs to be here. I'm just holding it over. And that way, when I lift up in the right hand, because there's no rest there, it's just lift up like taking a breath here. So, but the left hand's already there. And you do it all up there is what I suggest on the moving the hands around here. Let's play this together very slowly to double check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not going to do any dynamics. I'm going to pedal it like I suggested. But we're going to do it twice, and we're going to go up an octave the second time and the whole bit. So I'll give us 2 counts. Ready, go. That's 2. Now let's try this slowly. Ready, go. Repeat.